guys, and welcome back to the channel. Arsenal have just beaten Tottenham 2-1 at the Emirates to close the gap to leaders Liverpool to 4 points. I'm Sarab. As always, guys, thank you for the continued support on the channel. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and make sure to turn on the bell notifications so you never miss one of my videos. But guys, the most important thing today and the hot topic of today and the headline of today is that Arsenal have closed the gap to Liverpool to 4 points, something which looked unthinkable the start of December in December. Liverpool have been fairly dominant in this Premier League season, but the gap is only 4. And it just goes to show you how quickly the Premier League can turn. 1 week you could be 9 or 8 clear, the next week you could be 4. It's the quality of the Premier League. You can't knock any side. But guys, Arsenal win the North London derby again. A fixture they have dominated in the last couple of years. They are unbeaten against Tottenham for 3 years now. That's 3 North London derbies in a row Arsenal have won. They've done a double over Spurs. And again, like most importantly for Arsenal fans and for Arsenal, they've closed the gap to Liverpool to 4 points. And it just throws something in there. Are Arsenal still in the title race? Is the title race back on? Get your comments in below. And I think that's the question on everybody's lips, not only Liverpool fans, Arsenal fans, and Premier League fans in general, but footballing fans that watch the game and watch the Premier League are asking the same question. Are Arsenal capable of winning this league? Are Arsenal capable of putting a run together? Are Arsenal capable of coping without Bukayo Saka? Because everybody points to the goals that Arsenal don't have in their team. They got 2 today. But look, I think anybody that watched the North London derby, they looked at Spurs' 11. We all know Spurs' issues in defence, especially. They're missing Van de Ven, Romero, Udogie, and they're missing Vicario. That's 4 of their usual back 5. They normally have Vicario, Udogie, Van de Ven, Romero, and Porro. Porro did play the game. So it was always going to be a bit difficult, especially when you've got a young lad in Archie Gray, 17, 18 years of age, playing at centre-back, being a midfield player. Dragusin, who's not played much football, many starts. He's only started to get a run of games since the injuries to Van de Ven and Romero. And you've got Jed Spence as a right footer playing left-back. So there is quite some imbalance in that back 5. And I think it was demonstrated in the game because Arsenal had quite a few chances early on in the game. And having said that, Spurs had their own and could have easily scored a couple of goals, and Spurs did take the lead. But before that, you had a chance with Trossard, Havertz. There was quite a few, signs that Arsenal were, starting to, be a bit more dominant in this game and set a marker. And what you expect them to do? They drew to Manchester United, obviously get knocked out in extra time on penalties in the FA Cup on the weekend. So it was going to be a game where Arsenal needed to bounce back, and they did show some sort of reaction. They could have easily been 3-0 inside the first 20 minutes, but it didn't happen to be. Spurs got the opening goal with Heung-min Son with a clearance. I think it was Solanke, and then it was a kind of like a ball put into the box, and they headed away, and I think it came off Solanke, and then it dropped to Son beautifully, and he deflected into the back of the net. But Spurs took an early lead at the Emirates against the balance of play because Arsenal were fairly dominant in the match. But as always, what we associate Arsenal with and what we've associated Arsenal with the last year or year and a half or so is their set pieces, and they're so dangerous off their set pieces. And Declan Rice, who's been a great provider of that, great corner taker, great free kick taker, and he puts a dangerous ball into the back post. And who's there like he's always been there in the last couple of months, in the last year and a half? Gabriel pulls away at the back post and puts the header in. He's so dominant in the air, Gabriel. I think it's his 21st goal for Arsenal, and it just goes to show. I do want to see how many of those have been in the last year and a half or so, especially since Arsenal have been starting to dominate in the air of these set pieces and free kicks that they do so well off. So I'd love to see the numbers, but he was colossal today, Gabriel. Not only with his goal, but he topped it off with a brilliant defensive performance. But the big talking point, the most controversial point of tonight's game is it wasn't a corner, because the corner that Arsenal scored from, it came off Leandro Trossard. And obviously, I don't think VAR intervened in that, but it wasn't a corner. But it's football. Sometimes you get some wrong, sometimes you don't. And the referee, unfortunately, didn't see that for Tottenham's sake. And Arsenal managed to capitalise. I think Spurs have been on the receiving end and the opposite end of good and bad decisions. They got one last season against Liverpool when Diaz was onside, but it was ruled offside. The on-field decision was offside. and the goal wasn't given. The Spurs win the game 2-1. So it can go against you and it can go for you. And today it's gone against them. And that's just the nature of football. And do I agree with it? No. I think things like VAR should intervene in something as obvious as that. Because that's what it's there for. Why else is it there? Because these are big, big things in matches that are, causing results like this, 2-1 to Arsenal. And yeah, but after Arsenal got the goal, it was fairly dominant Arsenal, and they went and they scored. Within the space of 2 or 3 minutes, they got a goal, and then the tails are up. And Trossard, he put Porro on his backside, which was quite before the goal. And then he puts the ball, arrows it into the bottom corner with his left foot. You think he's going to cut it on his right, stronger foot, but boy, what to finish that is by Leandro Trossard. And maybe Kinski should be doing better there, but like I said, Arsenal have quality in the attack. It's just not enough quality, which is why they find themselves in the position they are of chasing Liverpool rather than being the team being chased. And that, I think that's the difference. And I think that's what Arsenal fans will be looking at. That Man City have dropped off. We're supposed to be next in line. How we have then allowed Liverpool to, overtake us. And that's because of their quality up front. And I think today was another demonstration of how good Arsenal can be going forward and how bad they can be going forward as well, because they had very clear-cut chances in the match to put the game away. Havertz, Martinelli had a few when he came on. Trossard, Sterling had a few as well. So it's been, you can see the problems with Arsenal. You put an Alexander Isak in that team, Arsenal win that game 3 or 4-0, 4-1. Spurs did get a goal. You put Ollie Watkins in that team, Arsenal win that game comfortably. You put a Salah, Jota, Arsenal win that game. Liverpool, but they are Liverpool forwards. Arsenal win that game quite comfortably. So you have to look at it for what it is. Arsenal were dominant in this derby, and although some factors went their way, you can't deny that they didn't deserve the win, because they did, and they were dominant from minute 1 to minute 90. And I think that's what Spurs need to work at, because they went in front again, and again they let the lead go, and it's been a very, very stop and start season for Ange Postecoglou, and injuries obviously haven't helped him. But they are 12th or 13th in the league. I don't know where they are. I'm going to find out right now where they are. I didn't actually look at the Premier League table before I came on. So, Arsenal are now second in the league with 43s, 4-point gap between Liverpool and them. Spurs are 13th in the league, 24 points. No wins in their last 5 with 4 losses. That's just not good enough for a team that's supposed to be chasing the European positions. Now, again, everyone will point the finger to injuries, but it's inexcusable, some of the games they've lost this season, like to Ipswich. They've lost at Bournemouth 1-0. These are games that Spurs are supposed to be, winning. They have better players than both those teams, but maybe that those teams just wanted it more. They have very, very good results, and they beat Liverpool in the cup last week. They've gone to the Etihad and they've won 4-0. They have results in them that they've showcased how good they are, but it's just times like tonight and Ipswich and things like that just get away from them. Now, people will be pointing the finger at me saying, "Oh, how can you say Spurs are better than Bournemouth?" They have better players than Bournemouth. They do. They have Son. They don't. Bournemouth, for me, don't have top players. All round as a team, they work for each other, which is why they find themselves in the position they are in. And I think that's what Spurs need to do. They need to regroup. They need to come together again. They need to start again, rip up the blueprint. And I think Ange Postecoglou has understood that the way he wants to play, he cannot play this way. He can't play a high line. He can't play high intensity. He has to sit back a bit and play on the counter-attack, because he does have Son. He does have Brennan Johnson. He does have Solanke who can hold up the ball, that are dangerous of these counter-attacking situations. And when he gets his squad back, Van der Ven, Romero, Udogie, because they're so pivotal to the way Spurs play, he inverts both his fullbacks. Van der Ven is normally the one that's on the last line that has the recovery pace to get back, which is why he also gets injured so much. And they've got the aggressor on the other side with Christian Romero. So it's a nice balance. And then obviously they're missing Vicario as well. He was really good for them last season. So is Ange Postecoglou's job in question? Absolutely, because I think being 13th in the league isn't unacceptable. And we're talking about January now. We're in the middle of January and Spurs find themselves in a position of 13th place. This is not the first season for Ange. This is the second season for Ange. I think what's going to save him is that he has a chance of winning a trophy. Either the FA Cup, he's still in the Europa League. He's 1-0 up in the EFL Cup semi-final. So he does have that on his back, that he can fall back on that. But you have to be honest, the league form has just not been good enough for Tottenham. It just hasn't been. But I think on a topic that's, people are more interested in is Arsenal and how they've closed the gap. Are they back in the title race? 4 points is, it's basically nothing. It's 2 matches. And people will say Liverpool have got a game in hand, but again, that's not a confirmed win for Liverpool. That game could be a draw, loss, whatever. So we have to speak about how the table is now and currently how it looks now. Arsenal are 4 points behind the league leaders, Liverpool, and that is not too big of a lead. And football can change very, very fast. I think for me, especially as a Liverpool fan, what gives me some confidence that Arsenal won't be able to cut this gap, I think it's because of their quality in attack. I think there's going to be games where they don't score. Like you can have the Everton game where Arsenal drop points, the Brighton game where they don't score more than one goal and eventually they concede a penalty to João Pedro. It's just stuff like this. Arsenal have that in them where they can just have a moment of weakness and let that slip. And although Arsenal were dominant today, I don't think they have it in them to win the league. And that's not to say they can't, because they very much can. And there's still 4 months of the league to go. I was one of the ones that said the Premier League title race is done, and I still stand by that because I know how good Liverpool can be, and I saw that yesterday against Forest, and I also know the vulnerabilities of Arsenal, which were on showcase today have been on showcase quite a few times this season. That's not to say Liverpool are not vulnerable. I just think they're less vulnerable than Arsenal, and they are a better organised team, and they're coached better, and they have some players that can have moments in them, which Arsenal are missing, the likes of Bukayo Saka, who, which is also another reason why I think Arsenal, maybe might struggle. But again, football's a long game. Things can happen very, very quickly. And Arsenal could very much be made the Premier League champions because, like I said, what I predict doesn't need to come true. That's not how it is. Just because I think something doesn't mean that thing that I think will happen. And that's just the beauty of football. The nature of football is like that things can change so fast, but over a longer period of time or shorter period of time. But there's still 4-5 months of the season to go. And how big does that game now look for Arsenal when they go to Anfield now? Honestly, that could be a title decider. But look, 4 points. It looks a lot better for the Arsenal, doesn't it, than it would have done a couple of weeks ago. Liverpool obviously dropping points to Forest, and Arsenal have now capitalised on that with a win against Tottenham. But I think everybody expected that to be, Nottingham Forest are flying. 1-1 draw is probably fair, and Tottenham going to the Emirates, and they don't win there. They haven't won there for a while. I think the last time they actually won in the league, I couldn't tell you, but the last time they actually won that, the Emirates, was a 2-0 win in the Carabao Cup in 2018-19 season. So it's been quite a while for Spurs. But guys, get your comments in below. The gap is now 4. Is the title race back on for Arsenal? Because it very much could be. Just because I think no doesn't mean it can't be. But guys, get your comments in below. Is the title race back on? Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and as ever, hit the bell notification so you never miss any one of my videos. Thank you for all the support, and thank you for sharing my content and watching my content. A lot more is coming your way. And yeah, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you guys very, very soon.